Remember when I left General Mills in the late 90s, I went to a company called Survivalink. Survivalink invented automated external defibrillators, the device that would save my life. I didn't know I was, working out a business and writing a prescription for something I would need 30 years later.
Hey there, business enthusiasts. Welcome to the Chills Podcast, brought to you by Allweather Roof. Because just like a sturdy roof, our conversations are built to last. I'm your host, Brent Loberg, and we're about to dive into the world of business, family, and the moments that give us those exhilarating chills. Ever wonder what keeps successful people inspired? Well, get ready to find out as we chat with some fantastic all-weather customers, partners, vendors, and friends. We'll explore their triumphs, challenges, and maybe even some unexpected secrets. After all, business is not just about numbers. It's about the people behind them. So grab your metaphorical popcorn and join us on this journey. Get ready to be inspired, maybe even get a few chills of your own. This is the Chills Podcast. Let the goosebumps begin. So introduce yourself.
My name is Sig Muller, and I am soon-to-be author. I'm releasing a book in the next week, and I am a father and survivor.
All right.
50 weeks ago, I actually had a sudden cardiac arrest.
So that was less than a year ago.
It was. I have the anniversary, and one of my goals was to publish this book before my first year anniversary of dying.
Well, let's hear that story.
Yeah, it's interesting to look back on at this point. A lot of reflection. It was just a normal Friday in Minnesota. I was golfing with some guys from General Mills who I'd worked with 30 years ago.
Okay.
And best friends for 30 years. And half of them live out of town now. Half of them came back. And we're just catching up. Hey, how are the kids? How's the wife?
So you're on a golf course?
We're on the golf course. That's not where the special event happens.
Okay.
But just catching up. And I say to one of the guys in the foursome I'm with, hey, you guys remember when I left General Mills in the late 90s, I went to a company called Survivalink. Survivalink invented automated external defibrillators.
Okay.
The device that would save my life 25 years later, 30 years later. I didn't know I was, working out a business and writing a prescription for something I would need 30 years later. And I said to him, hey, just remember, always do CPR if anybody ever goes down.
Yeah.
Later that night, we're in South St. Paul.
You actually said that.
Yeah. I didn't think anything of it, right? Life happens. And so there's a whole series of what I call God incidences, things that have happened in my life. That's a good example of one. I happened to work at this AED company 25 years ago.
Yeah.
I said that to the people that would get me CPR later that night. We were at a friend's house in South St. Paul, outside by his pool. That's where I went down. He and his wife gave me CPR.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just went down out of nowhere.
Yeah, so cardiac arrest is an electrical problem. So for sports fans, people like Damar Hamlin,
Yep.
it's an electrical problem, not a plumbing problem. Heart attack, people are more familiar with, that's a plumbing problem.
Yeah.
So I have great plumbing. I had an electrical issue, which causes ventricular fibrillation in my case, and it's full on stop, you're down. You're not breathing, your blood isn't flowing, and really people doing CPR is critical in the first minutes to being physically, mentally okay and actually living. So for me, I was down over 8 minutes, and the odds of my not just living, but being physically, mentally okay, less than 1%.
Wow.
So I'm pretty lucky to be here.
Did you have any prior feel weird or
No,
nothing?
nothing.
Okay. Nothing in the family or anything like that?
No, and that's the thing with cardiac arrest. It often comes on with no warning and no history. Yeah.
Wow. So you were a swimmer. You said Division I swimmer. Where did you swim?
Yeah, I swam at Northwestern University in Chicago.
Okay. My boss actually swam at University of Madison.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he's a D1 guy too.
Yeah.
Were you distance, sprinter,
backstroke and middle distance.
or? Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. And you still do that?
Some,
You coach or train?
Yeah, I coach swimmers at Foss.
All
People
right.
might know them. They've got, 30 swim schools, more than 30 now, in about 5 or 6 states. I teach kids how to swim up the Maple Grove site, which is a ton of fun.
Yeah.
I know how much swimming meant to me growing up,
Yep.
and to be able to give that back and help kids. I actually talk about Foss a little bit in my book.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really where I got my mission. I'll tell a few stories maybe
Yes.
there.
Yeah, let's go.
42 days before my cardiac arrest, my eldest son is a med school student in Montana. I went out and fly fished with him and his pastor. World-class rivers, best fly fishing. I'm a total rookie. My son and the pastor are experts, so they were my Sherpas for the day. And the pastor says, and this just went over my head in the moment, but as I had my recovery, this became a really important moment. He said, have you ever heard of the book 4,000 Weeks? I said, nope, never heard of it. Tell me about it. But in the back of my mind, I'm saying, hey, man, I'm fly fishing with my son and you, having a great day on the water. I don't need a sermon. Yeah, I just thought that. I didn't say it out loud. Yeah, and he told a little bit about the book. And 4,000 weeks is how long you have to live when you're born.
Okay.
About 80 years. Okay, great. I'm fly fishing. Let's get back after it. Well, during my recovery, I'm thinking, why am I still alive? Why am I here? What's my mission? And how much time do I have left? Is this going to happen again? And I had a real choice to, crawl up into the fetal position, shelter in my, condo, and stop living life out of worry and fear. And, the physical road back was hard as well. But I said, you know what? No, I have to put a stake in the ground and say, I'm going to live 1,000 weeks. And the reason I picked 1,000 weeks was it was 20 years. It was 1/4. I went back to that pastor fly fishing, in the month after recovering, and said, I can do a lot of meaningful things. I'm 59 now. I'd be 79. My father's 95. Oh, I don't know if I'll live to be 95, but I can plan and act with an urgency and a purpose for a mission to help other people be the world's best version of themselves. And I was at Foss sharing a little bit about this story, which we'll hear more of as we talk. And we had a team meeting about 9 o'clock at night. After all the pools are closed, there's 50 of us there, and I'm sharing my story. And it's the first time I shared my story publicly. It was about 6 weeks after. And I finished by saying, I don't know why I'm still here. I'm still trying to figure that out. There was a group of people by the end of my sharing the story who were crying, literally tears. I didn't expect that. There were a few people that came up afterwards and said, I'm changing my life starting today because I need to live with more purpose. Didn't expect that. I had a few people come up and say, my dad, my mother, my brother had a cardiac event. Thank you for sharing that. I now can deal with and process that better. And then finally, a woman named Jody came up. Jody's a peer of mine, about the same age. She said, I know why you're still here, Sig. I said, oh, really? But tell me. I want to know. And she said, you're here to share your story and to help others be the world's best version of themselves. And I reflected on that, and that was kind of the final piece of the puzzle. But how did I get to this crazy phrase, you're the world's best? Well, when I went down, I spent 7 days in the ICU. The first 2.5 days or so, I had what they call anterograde amnesia. I couldn't form any new memories at all. So if I knew you, Brent, before my cardiac arrest, I knew you. I'd remember our whole life, everything we did, the fact that we golfed that day. But if it happened after my cardiac arrest, that first 2.5 days, I didn't remember a thing.
Wow.
So my doctors would come in. I'd say, what happened to me? I had a cardiac arrest. 10 seconds later, what happened to me? And they'd tell me again.
Not remember.
I had no memory. And so for my family and friends, they're thinking, is this going to be the new permanent Sig?
Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Mentally incapacitated. Exactly. Groundhog Day. And I said 2 things during that time, one of which I'll share now. And I didn't know I was saying it at the time. So the nurse would come in, the doctor would come in, the phlebotomist, friends, family, whoever it was, come in the room, and I'd say, Brent, you're the world's best.
Yeah.
Thousands of times for 2.5 days.
Phrase that was in your...
For some reason, I decided I needed to say that. And so I learned this later from, my sister and others who said, you were saying this crazy thing the whole time. And I kept saying it. Yeah, I kept saying it after I got my memory back. I didn't know I was saying it, but I kept saying it in the hospital to everyone. And I thought about it as I'm reflecting, figuring out, what am I going to do? Why am I here? I got my mission from Jody. Let's put together these pieces. The pastor told me this story. Why did I say this crazy phrase? And I think there were 2 reasons I said it. One was It was my fancy way of saying thank you, you're great, I appreciate you.
Sure, that makes sense.
Way to go. I just chose the words, you're the world's best. It's the first time in my life I couldn't take care of myself. Right? I'd been a leader at companies, Division I swimmer, and here laying in a bed, I couldn't go to the bathroom myself, nothing. So it was appreciation for the people who cared for me. The second reason was I knew something was really messed up. I didn't know what was wrong. You'd tell me, I wouldn't remember it.
Yeah.
But I knew I needed the world's best doctor, the world's best nurse, the world's best friends. And I needed me to be the world's best if I was going to be okay. So I became my own hype man, my own way of motivating people and sharing that so that I would step up personally and be the best so that I'd be okay.
Uh-huh.
And so that the people treating me, I have an implantable cardio defibrillator in now, right here. And I needed the doctor who was going to do that to be the world's best. Mm-hmm. So that's the origin of the phrase.
Wow.
It was born organically out of my lack of memory for 2.5 days.
Didn't even know you were saying it.
Yeah.
Do you have any memories when you were out? Like people have these experiences when they died.
Yeah.
Do you have any, I saw a light or anything like that?
I don't.
No.
I get asked that very commonly, and I've read some books about it because I get asked it so frequently now, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. And what's interesting, though, is I don't have memories for the next 2.5 days.
Yeah.
As well. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So talk about when you started having memory come back. Like, well, how was that experience? What was that story?
Yeah. So one of my first memories was probably the third day in the hospital. I had a friend came in, Mike. And I grew up with Mike in Rochester, Minnesota. And he came in and sat with me. And he said, "Can I pray with you?" And he sat and said the Our Father with me, which was pretty remarkable. I don't know that, we grew up, we'd probably been to church together as kids, kind of thing. But I don't know that I ever prayed with him in that way. And that was one of my first memories back. And then people had to start filling in the pieces from those 2.5 days. One of the fun memories I have, and it was, again, the first day I could start remembering things. The rep from Medtronic came in and said, "Sig, you're going to have an implantable cardio defibrillator put in you." Mm-hmm. And because I'd worked at this defibrillator company, 25, 30 years ago, I had all kinds of questions for him. I asked him some technical spec things. What's the waveform? What's the delivered energy? All this stuff. And he looked at me and he said, "Why are you asking me these things? Who are you?" I said, "Well, it's a long time ago, but I learned some of these things at this company, and I just, I know Medtronic's great. I'm sure you guys have the best defibrillator, but I want to understand that." And he answered all my questions. It was wonderful. And I did tell him, "You are the world's best," thousands of times while he was in the room. Before he left, I said, "But I have one important question we haven't talked about yet." I said, "Can I scuba dive again?" And he looked at me and said, "I don't know. Let me check." So he came back later that afternoon, and I said, "Well, what's the answer? Can I scuba dive?" And he said, "It's contraindicated." I think the lawyers made him say that about 50 times. And I said, "Okay, I understand legally you can't tell me I can scuba dive, but the device, will it be able to go to the depths to scuba dive and sustain the pressure?" And he said, "Yes, it's been tested to 100 feet. But it's contraindicated, you shouldn't do it," right? And I think the reasoning is, if it goes off underwater, imagine that. Like, you're probably going to die because you drown.
Yeah.
If that happens. And I looked at him and smiled, and somewhat seriously, somewhat joking, I said, "All right, I can scuba dive again. Let's do it." As though I had a choice in the matter. I was getting this bad boy no matter what.
Very cool. Wow. Any funny stories from the hospital waking up or?
So my sister recounted one story. Okay. Which I hope your audience isn't eating while I tell it. And that was, and this is great because I literally don't remember it. Remember I said I couldn't go to the bathroom myself.
Yeah.
So the nurse came into the room to help me go to the bathroom. And I proceeded to go. I probably hadn't gone to the bathroom in 2 days since I've been there. So it was impressive, you might imagine.
Yeah.
And she proceeded to help me, and I went, and she wiped me, and I said, "That was the world's best wipe." I thanked her. I said, "That was the world's best wipe." And then I looked around the room. My sister was there and a few other people had come in after I finished. And I proudly said, that was the world's best poop.
You're still saying, you don't remember this.
No, I don't remember any of it at all. But the world's best applied to anything. You know, if I was going to do it or someone else was going to help me, we needed to be the world's best at everything we did.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you recall, do you remember anything from being at your buddy's house?
I do. In fact, literally up until I went down, I remember everything. There's a picture, which I have on my website, of me seated next to 4 or 5 of the guys at an outdoor bar by the pool.
Mm-hmm.
The picture was taken 3 minutes before my cardiac arrest.
Okay.
And I remember that picture being taken.
Okay.
I remember being asked, I'm the pool guy, I'm the swimmer. So before the party started, they handed me the pool net and said, could you go clean the pool a little bit?
Yeah.
What I did, that's my gig. I remember sitting there having a cocktail, talking. I think we talked about some politics. And then I don't remember, probably about a minute or two before I went down, but Paul, who wound up giving me CPR with his wife, Kim, was sitting across from me, and he noticed something was wrong. And this is the part I don't remember. Mm-hmm. But apparently I started to slump and just not look good, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of turned white. He walked around. It was probably about 3-4 yards around an L-shaped bar. Came over, and as I died, he caught me. So I didn't fall on the ground from the high top bar stool. Laid me on the ground, and then his wife came out, and they both gave me CPR. Everyone else dove into action, calling 911, and you're running around the front of the house and making sure the EMTs came down outside, because time matters. Every minute your heart is not restarted, odds of living decrease 10%. Okay, sudden cardiac arrest. So pretty profound. The other interesting thing I learned later, and I didn't know this term at the time, and it's important, I think, for people to know, it's called agonal breathing. So when you die, and someone I was talking about this last week shared a sad story of they had a dog that had passed away, and the dog experienced agonal breathing. And what that means is my blood stopped flowing, but my brain wanted to keep living. So reflexively, it looks like you're breathing. You're gasping for air, but no air's coming in. Nothing's going to your lungs, but it looks like you're fighting to live.
Scary.
And so for people, this is why I think it's important for people to know that that is agonal breathing. It means start CPR. I mean, make sure there's not a pulse and all that. It doesn't mean, hey, they're going to be okay, they're still breathing. Mm-hmm. It means they've likely are dead from a sudden cardiac arrest, and you need to start. But I talked with the people, my friends, afterwards, and they said, yeah, this thing happened. And we're on with 911 saying, well, we can't tell if he's still breathing or not. He's doing this kind of gasping thing. And they were told by the 911 operator, get after it, give him CPR. But none of them knew what this was. It looked like I was fighting for my life trying to breathe.
Yeah.
And the truth was, if they wouldn't have started CPR, I probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So
when did you actually start coming to? Was it in like the ambulance at the hospital? How did all that go down?
Good question. The EMTs, so it was full response, EMT, fire, police, everyone comes to an emergency like that. Depends on your community. Every community is different. Mm-hmm. But the EMTs had an automated external defibrillator. They put it on me. I was shocked multiple times. I, at some point, regained a heart rhythm. I believe that was before I was put in the ambulance.
Okay.
But then in talking to people, I had to be shocked in the ambulance again, meaning my heart stopped again. But as far as my directly remembering anything, it's nothing for 2.5 days. So that's just been recounted from others. But I was also told the timeline and that it was more than 8 minutes. And
okay,
that's a scary thing that really makes it a miracle.
Wow, 1%.
Yeah.
How was the recovery as far as like physical walking around? Like,
yeah, I did cardiac physical therapy for a few months. I did that at Methodist Park Nicollet in St. Louis Park, not too far from here. Mm-hmm. And I would go 3-4 times a week, and I'd get a heart monitor put on me, while I exercised. And initially it was just slow walk, 3 miles an hour, get after it. But what was for me important was the mental aspect. I mentioned earlier, you wonder if this is ever going to happen again.
Yeah.
You just don't know. Or in my case, even why it happened, which is more disconcerting. You feel almost like a bullet's chasing you. When is it going to catch up? Could it happen again? So the mental aspect of, okay, I walked 3 miles an hour and I got monitored and they're looking at my heart rate and blood pressure. I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay. And over time, building up to, 3.5 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour, and then getting on the rowing machine, a full body workout. So it was that process of building up and then the data being able to say, yeah, you're okay. You did that. Your heart did fine. Your body did fine. Your blood pressure was great. And then slowly over time, I'm back. I'm teaching kids how to swim again every Sunday and Monday. I play pickleball regularly. I go to some cardio fitness classes at Lifetime. So I'm truly blessed. I don't think I'm back 100% yet to where I was. And I don't know if I ever will be.
Mentally, though, you're
mentally, I'm pretty good. PTSD is a real thing.
Yeah.
We hear about it in the context of military a lot. But it's not just a military shell-shocked thing. It can happen with other heart-stopping moments and things we have happen in life. And so, there are times where I still reflect and think and worry.
Yeah.
But they become farther apart and fewer.
Sure.
And I try and really be in the present and live life, right? Enjoy the moments.
Yeah. From a guy that Division I swimmer to literally getting after it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Talk about your book a little bit.
Sure. So Dying to be the World's Best. You now know why I titled it that.
Yeah, I like the name.
Yeah. I just got my author's copy yesterday. I think it'll be published next week. You'll be able to get it on Amazon. But it's not just a memoir of me. It contains stories that have happened to me in life, but I translate that to the mindset and tools that can help others be the world's best version of themselves. And I didn't want to just write a story about me. I wanted it to impact others' lives. So I talked about the 1,000 weeks that I was going to live. So I tell that story in the book, but I take it a step further to make it actionable for you, Brent, for the reader. And the way I do that is I say, okay, 1,000 weeks, that's 20 years. And I created a thing called the 5% rule. Every year of those 20 is 5% of what you have left. So if you love summer, every summer is 5%. Christmas, Easter, family reunions annually, whatever it is, each one is 5%. Okay, 20 years is still a long time. Let's take it down to a day. 24 hours. 5% of 24 hours is 72 minutes. You sleep some, 5% of 14 hours is 42 minutes. 42 minutes to sound about an hour. Are you spending the time on the right stuff? The stuff that matters, the stuff that will have an impact, the stuff that will change your part of the world. And, unfortunately, some of the things we do spend our time on, just that's not it. The average person will check their email 13, 14 times a day, spend over 2 hours on social media, spend over 2 hours watching TV, check their texts almost 200 times a day. I know I'm convicted on the email thing. I probably am way over the 13 time. I could check my email 20, 30 times a day. But this is your average person. And you don't have to have a heart-stopping moment to evaluate how you spend your time. We all have heart-stopping moments. Mine involved an ambulance and dying. Yours doesn't have to. It can be the birth of a child. It can be a wedding. It can be the death of a parent. Some are good, some are bad. But heart-stopping moments cause us to pause, realize we're alive, and give us an opportunity to realize and think about what's important in life. How am I spending my time, and is it on the right stuff? So the 5% rule just simply says, every day, be mission-driven. Are you spending 5%? Maybe it's time with your kids. Maybe it's date night with your wife. Whatever it is, you're spending 5% on the things that are going to make a difference and impact others and help you grow as a person. Some things take a long time. Writing my book, I'd never written a book before. So I applied that to myself and said, I'm going to spend at least 5% every day till I get this book done. And I'm going to get it done before my annual anniversary. If I don't spend that 5% a day on a long-term task, it doesn't get done. So the idea of the mindset and using 5% as a tool on a daily basis is pretty actionable for people to do. One of the first times I'm a professional speaker now. So one of the first audiences I had, I shared this story about the 5% rule. I had someone the week after reach out to me, sent me an email, and they said, every day I wake up now, and I'd encourage people to put a Post-it on their mirror.
Yeah.
For me, the Post-it says, "You are the world's best," which is a separate, another story. But I said, just put 5% on the Post-it. Put it on the mirror, where you shave, where you wash your face, makeup, whatever it is. And let that be a reminder daily to spend time on the right stuff. So this person just sent me a nice note and said, I wake up every day now, and I look at that Post-it in the mirror, and I think about how am I spending my time. And it helps me reprioritize things on what's important and get rid of some of that extraneous stuff that isn't important and I waste time on.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
You're inspiring people.
Yeah.
You got to have some other stories.
That's why I'm doing that. So one of my other topics I love to talk about is gratitude.
Okay.
And, none of us hear thank you often enough. Or say to others, thank you often enough. It gets lost in our society today, I think. For me, I chose the words, "You are the world's best." And I now make it a point every single day. This is why I have my Post-it on the mirror. It says, YTWTB. You are the world's best.
And it's a reminder for you to say it to other people.
It is.
Yep.
To share gratitude every day.
Yep.
To share gratitude every day. So last winter at a coffee shop in Minnetonka here, I found myself in line. It was 20 below zero. I found myself in line with a couple of police officers. And I'm just chatting. And when I was at Survival Link, the defibrillator company, we helped place the first ever AEDs in police cars. In Rochester, Minnesota, and Florida Highway Patrol. Because they get there first. They have the greatest chance to save a life. So I always have had an affinity and respect for law enforcement. So I'm in line just chatting with them before we get our coffee. I said, boy, it's really cold out today. You guys do a great job. Your job must be even harder when it's 20 below.
Yeah.
And we just chatted back and forth a little bit. And they're like, yeah, it is harder when it's 20 below, And I looked at them in a genuine, heartfelt way. And I said, thanks for everything you do in our community. You are the world's best. And I can do that in a genuine way, right? Whether it's thank you or you're great, whatever it is, it has to be meaningful and genuine. Mm-hmm. And I loved seeing their smiles and how they lit up. I mean, when was the last time someone said that to them?
Yeah.
I'm in the process, hopefully it'll happen next week, of meeting the people that saved my life.
Oh, you haven't yet?
I haven't yet. And what was interesting, I had a friend who I worked with who's in that field, in the ambulance first response field, Mark, and Mark helped track them down and made first contact about a week or two ago, and we're trying to set up a meet and greet to thank them. But what was interesting, what Mark said and what I heard from the people that responded to me, said, we never hear from people.
Really?
We never hear from people.
Gratitude.
And when we do hear, it's because there was a problem. It's because something didn't go well. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Because what they do in our communities is remarkable. What they did for me is amazing. So
you'll be able to hand them your book.
I'm going to give them my book. I'm going to give a big hug. A high five, a chest bump.
Yeah.
But great gratitude for what they do. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, the name of the podcast is called The Chills, but I feel like I've had the chills the whole time. But I was going to, typically I ask like what gives you the chills? But man, this whole story's been amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. The chills for me in this context, it's looking back at all those God incidences. In my book, I talk about God incidences and guardian angels. Mm-hmm. There's these things that happen in life and you don't know at the time they're important. That I worked at a defibrillator company, that I built these friends at General Mills, that I went with the pastor and my son fly fishing. All these things mattered profoundly later in life, that I swam in college. Yeah. I don't think they were coincidences. But it took me, dying and my subsequent recovery to put those pieces together and start to appreciate it. And that was, as I went through that process, that was all really life-changing and chilling. Yeah, for me.
What was the tie with the swimming college? Just like the strength and
Yeah, so some of the doctors would later say, and I don't know how true this is or not, but they'd say part of why you lived is training your body to carry oxygen better than most, and some of that residually, lives on with you the rest of your life.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of mitochondrial development and all that.
Yeah.
Crazy. Interesting about the questions that you were asking the guy from Medtronic. He's like, who is this guy?
Yeah. I did learn they have the best device, right?
Yeah.
What's the delivered energy in joules? He told me. I'm like, great, because lower delivered energy means you're damaging the heart less should it ever go off.
Yeah.
What's the waveform? He says biphasic.
Yeah.
Cool. We were working on biphasic, back in the 90s, and I happen to know that's the best.
Yeah.
And that was all, again, that was for me a mental checkpoint.
Yeah.
We all know Medtronic's fabulous and makes the best products. But for me, having that data
For sure.
just reinforced I'm going to be okay.
And you kept them on their toes too, asking those questions.
Well, the scuba diving one threw everybody off guard. I don't know if they like me talking about that or not. I haven't been told to stop, but I'm always sure to say contraindicated. Looking forward to my first dive. I don't have one planned yet.
Where do you like to go?
I've been super blessed. I spent twice in my life. I lived overseas in Asia, so I dove all over Indonesia, the Philippines, up through Thailand, and then in the Caribbean quite a bit as well.
Okay.
Aruba, Grand Cayman. Love it. For me, it's a passion. I've been on over 1,000 dives.
Oh, wow.
Around the world. So when I asked him, can I do it again? I was really serious. Yeah.
What's the deepest that you've gone?
Well, generally, you don't need to go below about 80 feet. That's where things live, and it's relatively safe. As soon as you start to go below 100 feet, generally, there's not anything to see.
Okay.
You might go see a wreck if it's deeper.
Okay.
But generally, as a recreational diver, you're not going below 100 feet. I've been to 110, 120 because there was a wreck.
Okay.
But most of the time, it's 60 to 80 feet is comfortable. And that's below the 100 feet. So I'm cleared and contraindicated at the same time.
Yep. So where's going to be your first dive?
I don't know.
You don't know yet?
Probably somewhere like Grand Cayman. I feel like it should be somewhere. A lot of my dives have been remote. Take 3 airplanes and 3 boat rides, and you're somewhere where no one has dove before.
Yeah.
I look at that now and I say, that's also 3 boat rides and 3 airplanes rides from medical care.
Yeah.
Should something happen. So I think I want to be near somewhere that has good medical care next time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've always wanted to dive in San Diego in the kelp fields with the sea lions.
Okay.
That would be a pretty good choice, I think.
Yeah.
But it'll be somewhere where I can check the box that, okay, mentally, should something happen, knock on wood,
Yeah.
I'm near medical care.
For sure.
So
are you retired from everything else? Just do public speaking?
yeah, I was semi-retired, teaching the kids how to swim. Had a long corporate career here in Minnesota. I've worked at the Mayo Clinic, United Health Group, General Mills, I mentioned, Survival Link. I spent the last sort of 15, 20 years in healthcare.
Okay.
And what I've done for my life is build businesses. So for big, giant companies, and I've also been at 7 startups and helping build businesses. One of the things your listeners might appreciate is in 2001, I became the first area developer for Ben & Jerry's.
Oh, really?
The ice cream. Do you have a favorite ice cream?
Whew. Oh, it's tough. I'm putting you on the simple mint chocolate chip.
There you go. And it's real natural mint in the Ben & Jerry's brand, none of this artificial stuff. So that was pretty fun. I built out all the stores in the Twin Cities. So if you ever been to the Wayzata Ben & Jerry's, I built that and owned it till about 2008 or so. I did that for 5-6 years.
Oh, wow.
So I love building and starting businesses. And so now I want to help others be the world's best version of themselves. And I do that. I do workshops at companies. I speak at associations, church groups, corporate events, and I do workshops at them as well.
For helping people build businesses?
Yeah, for helping people build businesses and to empower their teams and the company to elevate their performance.
Okay.
And we work through some of the concepts of the mindset and techniques to be the world's best.
Okay.
And maybe a half-day workshop. And then I do full-time consult with people, generally smaller companies, on helping them build their business.
Okay.
As well. Yeah.
So looking back before you were in the hospital, was there anything that the world's best, where do you think that came from?
Yeah. And this is fun because now that the book's written, like all these questions you're asking, like I talk about that more in the book, which is kind of cool to think about. But so I'm first generation born here. My father was a Panamanian immigrant.
Okay.
My mom grew up in Minnesota, German Minnesota native.
Yeah.
And she met my father at the Mayo Clinic. But my mom and dad together stressed a few things. One of them was whatever you do in life. My dad wasn't, you have to be a doctor because I have to be a doctor. But what they did instill was whatever you do in life, do your best.
Mm-hmm.
Try your hardest. Show up. And so the idea of just leaving it all out there and being the best was something, and I don't remember the exact words they used.
Sure.
But the concept that, we all have that opportunity. Don't waste that opportunity.
Sure.
Be the best at whatever it is. Work hard, show up. A lot of it's just showing up and working hard, right? But beyond that, it's utilizing your skills. And I'm thrilled to finally, I think, find my true mission in life with this idea of helping others be the world's best version of themselves. I haven't had a great life, great career, but now to be able to help people explicitly do that, that's my mission. That's what Jody said at the end of, Foss was, you're here to do that.
Yeah.
So
I love it. It's a great story.
Yeah.
We have a saying in our house, and I learned this from a sales guy I listened to. His name was Dave Harrison. And when you're doing something, or when you've done something, ask yourself how you can do it just a little bit better. Like, how do you make it just a little better than what you did? Like when the kids clean your rooms. All right, go back before I look. How do you do it just a little bit better?
I love it. 5% better.
Yeah, 5% better. Exactly. Anything else you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, no. Please check out my book.
Yeah.
When it comes out, like I said, it should be around August 21st, something like that. You can get it on Amazon. Okay. I have a lot of tools on my website that you can download and use and apply to your daily life that can help you start now to be the world's best. And in my book, I actually have QR codes and links to those resources, but you can just go to the website and find them on their own. And if you want to reach out to me, my email is sig@betheworldsbest.com.
Okay.
And the website is betheworldsbest.com. Pretty simple.
And we know you check your emails all the time.
Too much. But that's all right. It means I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
And certainly if people want to engage me to speak at an event they have coming up, or as a consultant on their business, or just chat, or just talk. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that have had life-changing events.
Mm-hmm.
And they just want to talk. They just want to share their story. It helps people heal themselves and helps people grow and move through things to be the world's best version of themselves.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful story.
Thanks.
I love it.
Can we hold the book up?
Yes.
I don't know where I should. No. We should hold it there.
No, hold it up. For sure. There's a camera there.
There's a camera right there. Pretty fun. It has a picture of Paul. It has a picture of Paul and Kim on the back, the couple that saved my life. This picture was taken about 10 days, 2 weeks or so after my cardiac arrest. I went to go to their house. Yeah, and
they were the ones that did CPR?
They're the ones that did CPR on my knee
in the back of my You kind of told them to do CPR on you.
Yeah, I don't think it was Paul in particular. He wasn't in my foursome. But, the fact that I said that is chilling.
It is. Very cool, yeah.
So, Sig, just hold that book up kind of close to your face because that's where my focal,
all right,
yeah, into that camera there. Yeah, that should be perfect.
Awesome. Nice. And we'll show you the bag here so you can see Paul and Kim.
Nice.
There you go. Yeah. All right.
Well, good deal. Thanks for coming in. This is fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right.
And I'll say for doing the podcast, right?
Yeah.
You are the world's best.
All right. Thank you.
And much appreciated. Thank you.
And that's a wrap, folks. A huge thank you to our incredible guests and, of course, Allweather Roof for making this podcast possible. If you enjoyed these conversations as much as we did, don't forget to hit subscribe and share the chills with your fellow business aficionados. Remember, it's not just about business, it's personal, and it's all about the people. Stay inspired, chase those dreams, and let the chills guide you. Till next time, this is Brent, signing off from the Chills Podcast. Catch you on the flip side.